The grand halls of the Galactic Council were abuzz with activity as the representatives of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations gathered for their biannual meeting. These were the rulers, the visionaries, and the self-proclaimed guardians of the cosmic order, a collection of alien species that had long since conquered the challenges of space travel and colonization. Among them sat Terralic, the human diplomat tasked with representing her species on this prestigious interstellar stage. As the meeting commenced, she could not help but feel a growing sense of unease wash over her. The other council members, with their towering statures and gleaming technological implants, regarded the humans with a mix of curiosity and condescension. The time has come to address the issue of the emerging human race, boomed Siloth, the domineering leader of the Zarlakian Empire. These primitives have shown signs of technological and social development, but they remain woefully behind the rest of the galaxy in terms of their capabilities. Terralic straightened in her seat, her fingers gripping the edge of the table as she listened intently. She knew the humans were still taking their first steps into the vast expanse of the cosmos, but she also understood the incredible potential that lay within her species. Indeed, chimed in Valshara, the elegant matriarch of the Eridani collective. These humans have only recently developed the means to venture beyond their own planet. They are but children, stumbling through the darkness, unaware of the true power that exists in the stars. A murmur of agreement rippled through the council chamber, and Terralic felt her heart sink. She had hoped that the humans' recent accomplishments, such as the establishment of a permanent lunar colony and the successful testing of their first interplanetary spacecraft, would have garnered at least a modicum of respect from the galactic elites. But it seemed that the council had already made up its mind about the fate of her species. The humans pose no real threat to our dominion, Zyloth continued, his deep, rumbling voice commanding the attention of all present. Their military capabilities are primitive, their technology limited, and their societal structures deeply flawed. They are not worthy of our consideration or concern. Terralic watched as the other council members nodded in agreement, their faces etched with an air of superiority and disdain. She knew that voicing her objections would be futile, for the council had spoken, and their word was law across the vastness of the galaxy. "Then it is settled," Valshara declared, her melodic voice cutting through the thick tension in the room. "The humans shall be left to their own devices, free to explore the cosmos at their own pace. We shall monitor their progress, but no further action shall be taken. They are of no consequence to the grand scheme of the galaxy." As the meeting drew to a close, Terralic found herself filled with a sense of frustration and despair. The humans had worked tirelessly to reach this point, overcoming countless challenges and obstacles, only to be dismissed by the very beings they had hoped to join as equals. She knew that her people would not take this lightly, for the human spirit was one of resilience, determination, and an unwavering belief in their own potential. Terralic left the council chambers, her mind already racing with ideas and plans. She would return to Earth and relay the council's decision, but she would also convey a message of hope and defiance. The humans were not about to give up on their dreams of reaching the stars, and they would prove to the arrogant council that they were a force to be reckoned with. The mood in the Oval Office was tense as President Evelyn Taylor and her closest advisors digested the news from Terralic, the human diplomat who had just returned from the Galactic Council meeting. "They dismissed us as primitives, unworthy of their consideration," Terralic reported, her voice tinged with a mixture of frustration and disbelief. "The council members believe our technology and military capabilities pose no threat to their dominance." President Taylor pursed her lips, her brow furrowing in deep contemplation. She had always known that the journey to establish humanity's place in the galactic community would be fraught with challenges, but the sheer arrogance and condescension displayed by the council members was truly galling. "This is unacceptable," the president declared, her steely gaze sweeping across the faces of her advisors. "We've worked too hard, sacrificed too much, to be relegated to the sidelines by these self-proclaimed masters of the cosmos. It's time we showed them what humanity is truly capable of." The room erupted in a flurry of discussions, with each advisor offering their own ideas and strategies. Some advocated for a diplomatic approach, suggesting that humanity should seek to engage the Council through carefully crafted negotiations. Others, however, argued for a more assertive stance, calling for the development of advanced military technologies that could command the respect of the galactic powers. In the end, it was President Taylor who made the decisive call. "We'll show them the true might of humanity," she announced, her voice unwavering. "I want a team of our best scientists, engineers, and military strategists assembled immediately. We're going to build a battleship unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen." The news of the president's bold decision quickly spread through the halls of power, igniting a newfound sense of purpose and determination within the human population. Across the globe, the brightest minds were mobilized, their collective efforts focused on a single ambitious goal: the creation of a vessel that would forever change the course of human history. In the bustling hubs of scientific research, teams worked tirelessly, pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible. Cutting-edge propulsion systems, advanced weapon technologies, and sophisticated defensive measures were all meticulously engineered and integrated into the design of the colossal battleship. Despite the overwhelming challenges and resource constraints, the human engineers and technicians refused to be daunted. They knew that the future of their species hung in the balance, and they were determined to prove the Galactic Council wrong. As the project progressed, rumors began to circulate, whispers of a vessel so powerful, so advanced, that it would shatter the Council's preconceptions about humanity's capabilities. The news spread like wildfire, igniting a sense of pride and anticipation among the people. For years, the construction of the battleship remained a closely guarded secret, shielded from the prying eyes of the Galactic Council and its vast network of surveillance. The human leadership knew that the success of their plan hinged on maintaining an element of surprise, a tactical advantage they could not afford to lose. Finally, as the last piece of the puzzle fell into place, the technicians stepped back, their faces beaming with a mixture of pride and awe. The battleship stood before them, a testament to humanity's ingenuity, determination, and unwavering spirit. President Taylor, accompanied by Terralic and a select group of military commanders, stepped onto the bridge of the colossal vessel, her eyes gleaming with a newfound sense of purpose. "The time has come," she declared, her voice ringing with conviction. "We will take our rightful place among the stars, and the Galactic Council will tremble before the might of humanity." With those words, the battleship's engines roared to life, its sleek, powerful frame cutting through the void of space, destined for a fateful encounter that would forever change the balance of power in the galaxy. The grand halls of the Galactic Council were abuzz with activity as the representatives of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations gathered once again for their biannual meeting. Among them, Terralic, the human diplomat, sat with a sense of anticipation and trepidation, her fingers drumming nervously on the ornate table. It had been several years since the Council had dismissed the humans as a primitive and insignificant species, but Terralic knew that a storm was brewing. She had been privy to the top-secret project that had been unfolding back on Earth, a project that promised to shatter the Council's preconceptions about humanity's capabilities. As the meeting commenced, the Council members exchanged their usual updates and debates, their arrogance and condescension towards the human race palpable in every word. Terralic listened intently, her heart pounding in her chest, waiting for the right moment to make her move. Suddenly, a sharp chime echoed through the chamber, drawing the attention of the Council members. Terralic stood, her posture straight, and her gaze unwavering. "Honorable members of the Galactic Council," she began, her voice projecting with a newfound confidence. "I have a matter of the utmost importance to bring before you." The Council members exchanged curious glances, their expressions ranging from mild interest to open disdain. Xylov, the domineering leader of the Zarlakian Empire, leaned forward in his seat, his eyes narrowing. "Speak, human," he rumbled, his deep voice reverberating through the chamber. "What is it that you believe is so important that it warrants interrupting our proceedings?" Terelek took a deep breath, steeling herself for the reaction that was about to unfold. "My fellow council members," she continued, "it is my honor to present to you a vessel that will forever change the way you view the human race." With a subtle gesture, the massive doors at the far end of the chamber parted, and a colossal silhouette emerged from the darkness beyond. Gasps of astonishment and disbelief echoed through the council as the sheer size and power of the human battleship became apparent. Terelek watched with a sense of triumph as the council members stared, their faces a mix of shock and thinly veiled apprehension. Xyloth, in particular, seemed visibly unsettled, his booming voice momentarily failing him. "Impossible," he muttered, his gaze fixed on the towering battleship. "This cannot be the work of humans." Valshara, the elegant matriarch of the Eridani collective, rose from her seat, her eyes narrowed in a calculating gaze. "Explain yourself, Terelek," she demanded, her melodic voice betraying a hint of unease. "How have your people managed to construct such a formidable vessel without our knowledge?" Terelek straightened her shoulders, a small smile playing on her lips. "It is the result of years of dedicated effort, driven by a determination to prove our worth to this council," she declared. "The human race has been far from idle, and we are no longer content to be dismissed as mere primitives." The council chamber erupted into a flurry of heated discussions, with some members voicing concerns over the potential threat posed by the human battleship, while others argued that it was merely a temporary setback that could be easily overcome. As the debate raged on, Terelek stood resolute, her gaze fixed on the awe-inspiring vessel that had been the culmination of humanity's collective dreams and aspirations. She knew that this was just the beginning, a bold statement that would forever change the course of history. Outside the council chambers, the human delegation waited with bated breath, their hearts filled with a mixture of pride and apprehension. They had come to this pivotal moment, and the future of their species rested on the outcome of this fateful encounter. As the council members continued their heated discussions, the human battleship stood as a silent testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity, a beacon of hope and a symbol of the boundless potential that lay within their species. The Galactic Council chamber was a hive of activity as the representatives of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations gathered once more. The air was thick with anticipation and a tinge of unease, for the arrival of the human battleship had shaken the very foundations of the Council's long-standing dominance. Xyloth, the domineering leader of the Zarlakian Empire, paced the floor, his brow furrowed in deep contemplation. The stunning display of human technological prowess had left him and his fellow council members unsettled, their confidence in the natural order of the galaxy suddenly called into question. Across the room, Valshara, the elegant matriarch of the Eridani collective, sat with her fingers steepled, her gaze fixed on the massive view screen that displayed the towering form of the human battleship. The sheer size and power of the vessel was unlike anything she had ever encountered, and it sent a chill down her spine. As the council members took their seats, Terelek, the lone human diplomat, stood tall and proud, her eyes shining with a newfound sense of purpose. She knew that the moment had come to deliver a message that would shake the very foundations of the Galactic Council. "Honored members of the Council," Terelek began, her voice clear and unwavering. "I stand before you today to deliver a message from the people of Earth, a message that I hope will forever change the way you view our species." The council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats, their expressions a mix of curiosity and thinly veiled disdain. Xyloth leaned forward, his massive frame casting a looming shadow over the chamber. "Speak, human," he rumbled, his deep voice laced with a hint of grudging respect. "We are listening." Terelek took a deep breath, steeling herself for the words that were about to tumble forth. "For too long, you have dismissed us as primitives, unworthy of your consideration. You have looked down upon us, convinced that our technology and military capabilities posed no threat to your dominance." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the faces of the council members, who sat in tense silence, their expressions unreadable. "But today, I stand before you with a message that will shatter those preconceptions. Terelek continued, her voice rising with a newfound confidence. The human race is no longer content to be relegated to the fringes of the galaxy. We have risen to the challenge, and we have emerged as a force to be reckoned with. The council chamber erupted into a cacophony of protests and objections, but Terelek raised her hand, silencing the crowd with a single commanding gesture. The vessel you see before you is a testament to our ingenuity, our determination, and our unwavering belief in our own potential, she declared. It is a symbol of humanity's rightful place among the stars, and we will no longer accept being treated as mere children in the eyes of this council. Siloth, his face a mask of barely contained anger, rose from his seat, his massive frame towering over the diminutive human diplomat. You dare to challenge the authority of the Galactic Council, he rumbled, his voice dripping with menace. Do you truly believe that your primitive vessel can stand against the might of our combined forces? Terelek held her ground, her gaze unflinching. I do not come here to challenge your authority, she replied, her tone calm and measured. I come here to demand a seat at the table, to have our voices heard and our contributions recognized. The council members erupted into a cacophony of heated debates, their once unified front now splintered by the sheer audacity of the humans' ultimatum. Valshara, her brow creased in deep thought, raised a hand, silencing the chaos that had consumed the chamber. This is a matter that requires careful consideration, she declared, her melodic voice cutting through the tense silence. We shall recess and reconvene at a later time to discuss the implications of this development. As the council members filed out of the chamber, Terelek stood alone, her gaze fixed on the towering form of the human battleship. She knew that the battle had only just begun, and that the fate of her species now rested squarely on the shoulders of the Galactic Council. The grand halls of the Galactic Council chamber had fallen silent, save for the hushed whispers and the occasional murmur of debate. The representatives of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations had retreated to their private chambers, their faces etched with a mix of confusion, consternation, and, in some cases, a hint of trepidation. Siloth, the domineering leader of the Zarlakian Empire, paced the floor of his opulent quarters, his mind racing with a whirlwind of thoughts. The unveiling of the human battleship had shaken him to his core, shattering the very foundations of his beliefs about the natural order of the galaxy. This cannot be, he muttered under his breath, his fists clenched in a rare display of uncharacteristic uncertainty. The humans are nothing more than primitives. How have they managed to construct such a formidable vessel? Across the council chambers, Valshara, the elegant matriarch of the Eridani collective, sat in contemplative silence, her fingers drumming thoughtfully on the arm of her chair. The humans had always been a curiosity to her, a species whose potential she had always been intrigued by, despite the council's dismissive attitude. There is more to these humans than meets the eye, she mused, her brow furrowed in deep contemplation. Their determination and ingenuity cannot be ignored, not when they have managed to create a weapon of such magnitude. The matriarch's musings were interrupted by the arrival of a contingent of her most trusted advisors, their faces etched with a mixture of concern and trepidation. Matriarch, one of them began, his voice wavering slightly. The council is in a state of disarray. The members are divided on how to respond to the human challenge. Valshara nodded, a small, knowing smile playing on her lips. That was to be expected, she replied, her tone calm and measured. The humans have struck a blow against the very foundation of our dominance. Now we must decide how to proceed. Across the council chambers, the heated debates raged on, with the various factions vying for control of the narrative. Some advocated for a swift, decisive response, calling for the immediate mobilization of the council's combined military might to crush the human upstart. They have overstepped their bounds. Siloth roared, his deep voice echoing through the halls. We cannot allow this affront to our authority to go unanswered. We must show these humans the true price of their insolence. Others, however, argued for a more cautious approach, wary of the potential consequences of an outright confrontation with the humans. These voices, led by Valshara and a handful of her like-minded allies, called for a diplomatic solution, a path that would allow the Council to maintain its power while acknowledging the humans' rightful place in the galactic community. "We must consider the broader implications of our actions," Valshara countered, her melodic voice cutting through the din of the debate. "The humans have demonstrated a level of technological prowess that we cannot ignore. To crush them outright would only serve to breed resentment and further unrest within the galaxy." The arguments raged on, the tension in the council chambers palpable as the members struggled to reach a consensus. Xyloth, his face flushed with barely contained rage, refused to back down, his unwavering stance on the need for a decisive military response only serving to deepen the divisions within the council. As the hours stretched on, it became increasingly clear that the council was at an impasse, its once unified front crumbling under the weight of the challenge posed by the humans. Valshara, her expression calm and resolute, knew that the fate of the galaxy now hung in the balance, and that the decisions made in the coming days would reverberate through the cosmos for generations to come. The Galactic Council chamber had descended into a state of uneasy silence as the representatives of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations struggled to reach a consensus on how to respond to the human challenge. Iloth, the domineering leader of the Zarlakian Empire, had grown increasingly impatient with the Council's indecision. In his mind, the only acceptable course of action was to crush the humans and reassert the Council's unquestioned dominance over the galaxy. Seizing the opportunity in the midst of the Council's paralysis, Iloth secretly dispatched a fleet of his most advanced warships, cloaked and equipped with the latest in stealth technology. His plan was to launch a series of covert strikes against the human settlements, a calculated move to remind the upstart species of their place in the cosmic order. Unaware of the Zarlakian leader's nefarious plot, the human battleship remained in orbit above the Galactic Council chambers, its massive frame a silent sentinel amidst the growing tension. Terelek, the lone human diplomat, had returned to the vessel, her mind racing with the events that had unfolded during the Council's deliberations. "I fear that our message has not been received as we had hoped," she murmured to the vessel's commanding officer, her brow furrowed in concern. "The Council is divided, and I cannot shake the feeling that they are planning something drastic." The commanding officer, a seasoned military strategist, nodded grimly. "We must remain vigilant," he replied, his gaze fixed on the vast expanse of space that surrounded them. "The humans have come too far to be cowed by the Council's threats." Suddenly, the vessel's sensors detected a flurry of activity, a series of powerful energy signatures flaring to life in the distance. Terelek's eyes widened as the data began to stream in, her heart pounding in her chest. "They're launching an attack," she cried, her voice sharp with alarm. "The Zarlakians are striking at our settlements, cloaked vessels moving in for a coordinated assault." The commanding officer sprang into action, his fingers dancing across the vessel's control console as he relayed the urgent news to the human military command back on Earth. Within moments, the mighty battleship's engines roared to life, its vast arsenal of advanced weaponry primed and ready. "Sound the alert," the commanding officer barked, his voice cutting through the tense silence that had descended upon the bridge. "We must intercept the Zarlakian fleet before they can do any further damage." The human battleship surged forward, its powerful thrusters propelling it through the void of space with unparalleled speed and agility. As it closed in on the Zarlakian fleet, the vessel's sensors painted a grim picture. The alien warships were systematically targeting human settlements, their devastating firepower leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Terelek, her eyes narrowed with determination, watched as the battleship's weapon systems came online, their targeting algorithms locking onto the Zarlakian vessels. "For the sake of our people," she whispered, "we cannot afford to fail." With a deafening roar, the battleship unleashed a barrage of devastating energy blasts, its advanced pulse cannons and particle beam emitters tearing through the Zarlakian fleet with precision and devastating effect. The alien warships, caught off guard by the sheer power of the human vessel, struggled to mount an effective counterattack, their defensive systems overwhelmed by the onslaught. As the battle raged on, the Zarlakian fleet descended into a state of chaos, their once coordinated assault now a desperate scramble for survival. Xyloth, his face twisted with rage and disbelief, watched helplessly as his prized warships were reduced to little more than floating debris. "Impossible," he bellowed, his fists slamming against the bulkhead of the command center. "How can these humans possess such power?" The human battleship, its shields flaring with the strain of the intense combat, maintained its relentless assault, systematically dismantling the Zarlakian fleet and delivering a message that would reverberate throughout the Galactic Council. As the last of the Zarlakian vessels succumbed to the might of the human battleship, Terelak stood on the bridge, her expression a mix of triumph and grim resolve. She knew that this was only the beginning, that the Galactic Council would be forced to reckon with the true strength and determination of the human race. With a deep breath, she turned to the commanding officer, her voice steady and unwavering. "Contact the Council," she said. "It is time they learned the true cost of underestimating the humans." The Galactic Council chamber was in a state of utter turmoil as the representatives of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations scrambled to make sense of the devastating blow dealt by the mighty human battleship. Xyloth, the once domineering leader of the Zarlakian Empire, sat slumped in his chair, his face a mask of disbelief and humiliation. The news of the Zarlakian fleet's annihilation had sent shockwaves through the Council, shattering the illusion of their unassailable power and leaving them grappling with the stark reality of the humans' technological prowess. Valshara, the elegant matriarch of the Eridani Collective, had called for an immediate emergency session, her keen eyes scanning the faces of her fellow council members, each one etched with a palpable sense of unease. "We cannot ignore the implications of what has just occurred," Valshara began, her melodic voice cutting through the tense silence. "The humans have demonstrated a level of military capability that none of us could have anticipated. Their battleship has decimated the Zarlakian fleet with effortless ease, and we must now confront the reality that our own dominance is no longer assured." Xyloth, his pride still reeling from the humiliation, rose to his feet, his massive frame casting a looming shadow over the chamber. "This is an outrage," he bellowed, his deep voice trembling with barely contained fury. "The humans have overstepped their bounds, and they must be crushed before they can threaten the stability of the entire galaxy." Valshara raised a calming hand, her expression ever composed. "Xyloth, your thirst for vengeance will only serve to escalate this conflict further. We must consider the broader implications of our actions and the potential consequences of an outright confrontation with the humans." The council chamber erupted into a cacophony of heated debates, with some members siding with Xyloth's call for a decisive military response, while others, led by Valshara, argued for a more diplomatic approach. The tension in the air was palpable, as the very foundations of the Galactic Council's authority hung in the balance. As the hours ticked by, it became increasingly clear that a consensus would not be easily reached. Xyloth, his frustration mounting, finally conceded that a unilateral strike against the humans was no longer a viable option, given the overwhelming power of their battleship. It was then that Valshara, sensing an opportunity, stepped forward, her gaze sweeping across the council members with a newfound sense of resolve. "Honorable members of the Galactic Council," she began, her voice carrying a weight of authority that commanded the attention of all present. "I propose that we extend an olive branch to the humans, offering them a chance to join us as equals in the pursuit of a more harmonious and prosperous future for the galaxy." The council chamber fell silent, the mere suggestion of such a radical departure from their long-standing policies sending shockwaves through the assembled delegates. Xyloth, his face a mask of disbelief, opened his mouth to protest, but Valshara raised a hand, silencing him with a single pointed look. We can no longer ignore the reality that the humans have emerged as a formidable power in their own right. The matriarch continued, her gaze sweeping across the faces of her fellow council members. To continue down the path of confrontation would only serve to sow the seeds of further conflict, a path that none of us can truly afford to tread. Slowly, one by one, the council members began to nod in agreement, their expressions shifting from outright resistance to a begrudging acceptance of Valshara's proposal. Diloth, his shoulders slumped in defeat, finally conceded, realizing that the tide had turned irrevocably against him. With a heavy sigh, the Galactic Council reached a historic decision. They would extend a formal invitation to the humans, offering them a seat at the table and the opportunity to forge a new collaborative path forward. As the announcement was made, Turalik, who had been monitoring the proceedings from the human battleship, felt a surge of pride and cautious optimism. She knew that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but the mere fact that the Galactic Council had been forced to bend to the will of the humans was a testament to the indomitable spirit of her species. With a renewed sense of purpose, Turalik relayed the news back to the leadership on Earth, setting the stage for a new era of interstellar cooperation and the human race's ascension to the forefront of the galactic community. The news of the Galactic Council's capitulation and their invitation to the humans to join their ranks as equals had sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Across the vast expanse of the cosmos, the various alien civilizations found themselves grappling with the sudden shift in the balance of power, their once unassailable confidence in the Council's dominance now shaken to the core. Back on Earth, the human leadership received the Council's overture with a mixture of triumph and cautious optimism. President Evelyn Taylor, her eyes shining with a newfound sense of purpose, knew that this was a pivotal moment in the history of her species, a chance to secure their rightful place among the stars. "This is the opportunity we've been waiting for," she declared, her voice ringing with conviction as she addressed the gathered representatives of the human military and diplomatic corps. "The Galactic Council has been forced to acknowledge our strength and potential, and now we must seize this moment to forge a new path forward." Turalik, the human diplomat who had been instrumental in the Council's dramatic about-face, stood by the president's side, her expression a mix of pride and resolve. She understood better than anyone the challenges that lay ahead, but she also knew that the humans were more than ready to rise to the occasion. "The Council may have extended an olive branch, but we must be prepared to navigate the complex web of interstellar politics," Turalik cautioned, her gaze sweeping across the assembled leaders. "Our battleship has proven its might, but it will take more than raw power to secure our rightful place in the galactic community." President Taylor nodded, her brow furrowed in deep contemplation. "Then we must leverage our newfound influence to the fullest," she declared, her tone unwavering. "We will use our position on the Council to negotiate better terms for our species, to ensure that our voice is heard and our interests are protected." In the days and weeks that followed, the human delegation took its seat at the Galactic Council, their presence a stark contrast to the dismissive attitude that had once characterized the Council's treatment of the humans. Turalik, her diplomatic skills honed to a razor's edge, navigated the treacherous political landscape with a deft touch, forging alliances and brokering deals that slowly but surely shifted the balance of power. As the Council's once dominant position was challenged, the human leaders seized the opportunity to secure better terms for their species, leveraging their newfound influence to gain access to advanced technologies, resources, and trade agreements that had once been beyond their reach. The human battleship, a symbol of the species' resilience and technological prowess, became a beacon of hope for other alien civilizations who had long chafed under the Council's heavy-handed rule. Delegations from across the galaxy began to seek closer ties with the humans, eager to align themselves with the rising power in the cosmos. Valshara, the matriarch of the Eridani Collective, watched the unfolding events with a keen eye, her expression a mix of fascination and cautious approval. She had been instrumental in the Council's decision to extend the olive branch to the humans, and she now saw the wisdom of that choice as the galactic landscape began to shift in their favor. The humans have proven themselves to be more than mere upstarts, Valshara murmured, her fingers drumming thoughtfully on the arm of her chair. They have the potential to become valuable allies, and we would do well to foster that relationship. As the months turned into years, the human presence on the Galactic Council grew ever stronger, their voice carrying more weight with each passing day. The once unassailable dominance of the Council was slowly but surely eroded as the humans leveraged their newfound influence to champion the interests of their species and forge new alliances across the galaxy. With the mighty human battleship leading the charge, the humans embarked on a new era of interstellar exploration and collaboration, their sights set on the vast, uncharted reaches of the cosmos. The future, once dismissed as the domain of the Galactic Council alone, now held the promise of endless possibilities for the rising power of humanity. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted irrevocably, with the humans emerging as a formidable player alongside the traditional members of the Galactic Council. Gone were the days when the Council's dominance was taken for granted, replaced by a newfound sense of collaboration and mutual respect. At the forefront of this transformation was the mighty human battleship, a symbol of the species' resilience, ingenuity, and unwavering determination. No longer relegated to the sidelines, the humans had secured a prominent seat at the Council's table, their voice carrying the weight of a rising power that could no longer be ignored. President Evelyn Taylor, her expression a mix of pride and resolve, presided over the historic meeting, her gaze sweeping across the assembled representatives of the galaxy's most influential civilizations. Beside her stood Terelek, the human diplomat whose role in the Council's capitulation had been instrumental in the species' ascension. "We stand here today as equals," President Taylor declared, her voice resonating with a newfound authority. "The Galactic Council has acknowledged the strength and potential of the human race, and we are committed to working alongside you to forge a future of peace, prosperity, and shared discovery." The Council members, once so dismissive of the humans, now regarded them with a mixture of respect and cautious optimism. Valshara, the elegant matriarch of the Eridani collective, nodded in agreement, her expression thoughtful. "The path ahead will not be without its challenges," she acknowledged, her melodic voice cutting through the hush that had fallen over the chamber. "But I believe that by working together, we can overcome the barriers that have divided us in the past and usher in a new era of cooperation and mutual progress." Styloth, the once domineering leader of the Zarlakian Empire, remained silent, his face a mask of grudging acceptance. The humiliation of his fleet's defeat at the hands of the human battleship still stung, but he knew that the tide had turned irrevocably against him and his ilk. As the discussions unfolded, the humans and the Council members began to chart a path forward, outlining ambitious plans for joint scientific expeditions, cultural exchanges, and the sharing of technology and resources. The human battleship, its towering presence a constant reminder of the species' technological prowess, would play a central role in these endeavors, leading the charge into the vast, uncharted reaches of the cosmos. For Terelek, the journey had been a long and arduous one, fraught with challenges and setbacks. But as she stood beside President Taylor, watching the Council members engage in animated discussions with their human counterparts, she couldn't help but feel a sense of profound pride and fulfillment. "We've come so far," she murmured, her gaze fixed on the massive silhouette of the battleship outside the window. "And now, the possibilities are endless." The months that followed saw a flurry of activity as the humans and the Council members worked tirelessly to turn their shared vision into a reality. Joint expeditions were launched, their crews a tapestry of diverse alien species and humans, all united in the pursuit of knowledge and discovery. The human battleship, its capabilities enhanced through the exchange of technological advancements, became the centerpiece of these endeavors, a gleaming symbol of the new collaborative spirit that had taken hold in the galaxy. As the vessel cut through the void of space, its powerful engines propelling it deeper into the unknown, Terrelic and the rest of the human delegation couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and wonder. They had come so far, overcoming the Council's initial dismissal and emerging as equals among the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. And now, with the human battleship leading the way, the future held the promise of boundless possibilities, a new era of exploration and cooperation that would forever change the course of galactic history. As the vessel disappeared into the vastness of the cosmos, Terrelic knew that the journey had only just begun. But with the unwavering spirit of humanity at their backs, she was confident that the challenges ahead would be met with the same determination and resilience that had brought them this far. The Galactic Council's once unassailable dominance had been shattered, and in its place, a new order had emerged, one where the humans stood alongside their alien counterparts, ready to shape the destiny of the galaxy.